guys have any questions? Yes.
How long did it take you, like, from the very beginning until it was published? Like, how long was that?
2 years. Yes.
How did you pick the names that you used in the book?
Well, I have this, like, I like collecting names, and so, like, I have this one, once printed out from this one website, super big stack of names, and then I just have looked up names before, so I kind of just went from there, or just ones that I know or whatever. Yeah.
So you said that the song that you played ahead of time inspired you to write the story. So how exactly did it influence, like, the plot of the...
Well, just like, cause like in the song, it's about a girl, you know, and but then I had, I don't know how to answer.
If I'm the song correctly, they were singing about, like, oh, this is how you were 7 years ago, and you're still like that today.
Yeah, like you can
So,
still-
and then in the excerpt you read that there was, like, set where we had this one scene where the two friends are making mischief together, and then 7 years later she has this photograph and she looks at it, she puts it to the side, doesn't want to think about it. So, how does the song then, like, because you obviously took, like, the 7 years and the looking back, was the main character influenced by the song? Because they were singing, like, oh, you're ready to change the world, you're spunky,
Yeah.
and...
Well, okay, let me think about it. I think I get what you're asking.
Like, you've told me.
But, like, what from the song did you incorporate
Well-
into your book?
Title.
Well, yeah,
The title.
the
I
title.
got the title from there.
Well, tell it what you've told me.
What have I
Like,
told you?
she was still, or she wanted to, change the
She
world
wants to change the world, but then
after everything happened.
after everything happens, she doesn't think she can anymore.
Okay.
And so it's up to her. She has to realize that she still can do it.
Okay, so that's where the friendship comes in.
Yeah. Yes.
Just because everybody wants to know, were your family members any influence on the characters in the story, just so...
Well,
Kill you.
I wanted my characters to be unique and to be their own person, and not like. So I did maybe pull like a few things from like what I know and stuff, like just from watching people and everything. But I tried to make them their own complete person. So there may be a little bit there that kind of snuck in. Yes, you're raising your eyebrows. I tried to stay away from that because I wanted them to be their own character.
Do you identify with any of the characters yourself? Like, could you see yourself as one of the characters in your book?
I kind of made a mix of Katerina and Abigail. Yeah. Yes.
What authors would you say have the greatest influence on your writing?
Well, I have to say definitely Louisa May Alcott, because it was whenever I read Little Women, I've always wanted I want to write books like her, because hers are really good. So that's where I got the 5 kids, because the 4 girls and then Lori. So definitely her, and then just like my friends Catherine Stewart and Gina Marinello Sweeney, and then also Jancina, who she published the book, but she's written some of her own. So definitely them. Yeah. Yes.
Do you have any like deleted scenes or?
Actually, no. There was one time I did write a little scene for like even farther into the future, but I haven't quite decided if I'm going to use that for like a second book or not.
So there might be a sequel for this?
Yes.
Oh,
There's
okay.
probably going to be a sequel. I just have to talk about it and figure out what I'm gonna actually do. Yeah. Yeah. Oh. Does anyone else have any more questions?
I have.
Oh, yes.
When did you start to write? Like, when did you like realize
Well,
like this?
I've always wanted to write a book, and so I'd always start writing stories, especially after watching Flicka. I've
What
always
horse movie?
because horses are so cool, so we're like, okay, I'm gonna write a book about horses. Multiple times I've actually started something, but it never went anywhere after that. Like I'd get maybe a page or two, and then I'm like, what am I gonna do next? And it wasn't until maybe 3 years ago I realized I actually need a plot to write a story. So then I did write a shorter story. It was like only 8 chapters, but I don't think I'm gonna do anything with it because I just was starting out. It was the first thing I had actually finished. But then I just don't think, I think that maybe that was my practice. So I think I'll just, file that away or something. And then I did start something with a friend of mine, but it's not been finished yet. And I don't know if it's gonna get finished.
So I have a question. So just for the benefit of the audience, all those aspiring writers, when you figured out what you were doing with this book, did you write a plot out on a few pieces of paper or an outline and then fill it in, or did you just start writing and go for it?
Well, I think for this one, I know when I first realized I needed a plot, I did for when I had other ideas, I did write an outline, but for this one, I think I just had the idea already in there, like exactly what was going to happen, not like the main idea that I just could write. I don't think I wrote anything down like an outline or anything. I think this one, I had the idea and I knew what I was going to do, so I just filled it in as I went along. Yes.
Did you have the idea when you first heard the song?
No, I think it was after I had bought the song, because I liked it so much. And then after, I don't know exactly how long, but then one time I was like, hey, could be a great story idea. Yes.
How did you get it published?
Well, a friend of ours, or a friend of Amanda's and us, back in I think 2012, she started her own self-publishing company. And so I thought, well, because we know her, so I can just, talk with her and stuff, that I'd go through her. And so she helped me through the whole thing. And she kind of, whenever I had questions, which was, all the time, all I had to do was, send her an email, or if she was online, just chat with her about it. And so I did it through her. And her company is called Rivershore Books. So if you guys want to get your books published, go ask her. She's very willing to publish anybody's books. Yes?
How long
How far into writing this story? I think I've asked you this question before. How far into this story before you had it in your mind that you were actually going to write a book and publish it?
From the very beginning. Well, because
At what point did I think you were serious?
maybe a couple months ago.
When you said it was coming back from the publisher?
What?
When you had it edited the first time?
Yeah. Well, because at the beginning, because I wanted it published, but then I wasn't sure if it was actually going to happen, because I hadn't asked you guys yet. So then when I did, I'm like, okay, it's actually going to happen. It's not just an idea. Yes.
Did you find that at times you could write a lot and then all of a sudden there
Yeah.
was nothing?
During the year when I wrote it, I wrote a lot of it. I went through different periods, I would write a lot, and then it would be slow, over the summer, I barely wrote anything. But then back more into fall and stuff, I got more into it, and then in November, it's National Novel Writing Month, and so I did that because I wanted to get a lot of it done, and I wrote a lot that month, and so that was probably the only reason I got it done in a year.
Did it seem like when you wanted to do it, it came easier?
It It just depended. Sometimes I wanted to write something, but nothing. I didn't know what to write yet. So but then other times I did. When I did, I just would write, and I didn't want to go to bed even if I had to. It was a little difficult to get off the computer and go to bed because like it was just coming so quickly.
It's the best time to write when it just keeps coming to you.
How many times were your parents impediments to your progress?
When it was bedtime, when you said I had to go to bed.
When you talked about paying for it, when you talked about editing it. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So despite us, it happened, and we're very proud of her.
How did the cover happen?
Well, I knew. I think it was. I don't know exactly what made me give me the idea of who I wanted on the front. But then back, I think in the spring one time, I think after Faustina Club, well, beforehand I definitely want Genevieve to be on the front. And so then one time after Faust, I'm going to see her today and I'm going to tell her. Well, first I saw Ignatia. I'm like, guess what? I'm going to ask Genevieve to be on the cover. And she's like, oh my gosh. And then Genevieve came outside because we were waiting to get picked up. And I'm like, so Genevieve, do you want to be on the cover? And well, everyone knows how Genevieve reacts. So she was really excited. And then finally, it finally worked out like September or August. We're like, it worked out. We're like, okay, we went to the Helbers, and we're like, we use your yard. So we were there for a couple hours. And so then we got a bunch of pictures, and then when I sat down to pick the cover, there was like roughly 10. I divided them into different folders by the pose, so there was like 10 folders. So then I went through each folder and I picked out my favorite picture from each folder. And then I had to decide which one I liked the best, and so I was down to 2. And Mary's like, I like that one, and I'm like, but I like this one. So then I asked my mom, and I was like, so which one do you think looks better? And she said this one would look the best.
Which character is that on the front
That's
then?
Katerina. Okay. Yeah, and Genevieve's right here, so. The beautiful cover model.